Ladies and gentlemen, for all of you individuals that want honest journalism, that want honest takes on sports, could you please stand up and give PK Suban a standing ovation, please? I'll wait. For all of you individuals who keep crying and saying that how the media seems to be wrapped around one particular individual, or it refuses to address stuff that questions that people are asking, can you please stand up and give PK Suban a standing ovation? I mean, let me tell you something, man. No word of a lie. PK may be getting a raw deal from a lot of people, but I think the main reason why he's getting a raw deal is because he's an individual that's not afraid to stand on his own personal truth. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it's a breath of fresh air to see something like that in mainstream media. Why? Everybody has to base and share the same opinion? Everybody has to agree that one particular individual is great? Why is that? Why can't you have people out there in mainstream media that are not afraid to have opinions like myself and many others out there? You see, mainstream media does a wonderful job of brainwashing people and making people believe that if you happen to have an opinion that seems to differ from the mass, that you're the weirdo. And that's just absolutely not true. Because just like everything has support in numbers. Good, bad, and indifferent. All that to say, with the millions of people that are out there that agree that LeBron James is the greatest player in the world, there happens to be a million of people, there happens to be millions of other people out there that differ from that argument. But if you pay attention to mainstream media, they'll make it seem like, no, we don't exist. How is it possible that we don't exist? But if you look out social media, if you check out social media, there's a lot of us standing on our own personal truth and our own personal feelings. So what? We can't have somebody resonate to us? We can't have a person like PK Suban in mainstream media that we could say, yes, he's speaking our message? We can't have that? Since when has this been okay and accepted in society? For people to be silenced on their own personal opinions? Since when? And for other individuals out there, this sounds right to you? For us people that believe that somebody else may be the GOAT or the greatest of all time, we have no choice but to listen to your opinions on your so-called GOAT. We have no choice because it's all over the place. And all we choose to do is want to exercise our own personal opinions on that point. And we get labelized. And this is right. Really and truly, man, no matter how you slice it, I mean, hey, it seems to be society has gotten very, very soft on a whole. And I'm talking about from the players on the court to the viewers who watch this sport. Everybody's gotten soft. You can't say nothing negative about anybody, because you say anything negative about somebody and, hey, you've committed one of the biggest crimes in the world. You can't coach players up anymore, because if you coach players up, what ends up happening is you as a coach, you end up getting fired because you might have offended a star. I don't know if you guys noticed that the Phoenix coach, after 1 year, has been fired. Now, I want to be one of the first people to tell you, man, no word of a lie. If I happen to be a coach on any team in the NBA, and that specific team trades for one of these three players, a LeBron James, a James Harden, or a Kevin Durant, I am handing in my resignation papers, period. I'll fire myself before I allow that organization to fire me. Plain and simple. I'm going to say it again. If I was to ever be a head coach in the NBA and the organization that I was coaching for decided to pick up one of these three players, King James, James Harden, or Kevin Durant, I am walking into the GM's office the very next day and handing in my own resignation papers to say, no, I'll fire myself, because we all know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. It's only going to be a matter of time before I end up getting fired because of one of these knuckleheads. At some point in time, we're going to need some kind of organizations to take a stance on something and make these so-called stars know that that's what they are. They are stars. They are not the entire team. At some point in time, that's a page that they're going to have to take from the NFL. Because no matter how great players are, NFL is an organization that has no problem humbling players and bringing them right back down to earth. Terrell Owens, Ocho Cinco. As great as they may have been in their art, the minute they start to allow all that stuff to get to their head, what ended up happening? NFL found a way to humble them. Yes, I believe the NBA has to start taking a page out of that book. No word of a lie, because this is ridiculous, man. We're walking around with a bunch of prima donnas now. And if that's the case, man, I mean, if it's going to get to this, where it's going to be virtually impossible to coach stars or whatever, then hey, allow the stars to coach themselves and coach the rest of the team. Because as far as I'm concerned, all these stars are doing are trying to ruin any type of legacy that a coach could possibly make. This coach that got fired from Phoenix, he just won a championship. But now, a lot of people are not going to be remembering about the championship that he won. They're just going to be remembering that all he did was go to Phoenix for 1 year and get fired. That's going to be the first thing that comes to people's mind when they talk about this particular individual. So, I mean, this is basically what, I don't want to say sports has gone to, this is what the NBA has gone to. Because a lot of the other sports are still trying to keep a little bit of control on their game. They're not allowing the players to dictate the pace on everything that happens in their game. NBA is the only one that, like I said, you know, they have to basically make threats and fine players in order to try and gain back a little bit of control. They have to come up with something like a flopping rule in order to derail players, star players, from flopping. Where do we do that at? The only sport I know that used to be that animated was soccer back in the day. And the one team that used to get chastised for doing it on a regular basis was the Italian team. Because they used to say that those were the ones that used to flop all the time. And it started to make the game look... That was one of the reasons why, at an early stage, I refused to watch organized soccer, because I was just tired of the theatrics. Every little touch, and it's like somebody basically, like, you know, hey, tried to take them out. And they act like their foot is broken, they're on the floor rolling around in all kind of pain. And then a couple seconds after that, they're the same individual getting up to take the penalty kick. it started to get a little irritating for me. That's one of the main reasons why I found it hard to watch organized soccer. They've kind of, I mean, they still do it, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Thank goodness. But it really seems like what they stopped doing or what they took out of soccer, NBA went and picked up. I mean, you guys want to talk about rules being changed for stars or whatever. That's one of the number one rules that was changed for King James. The flopping rule was implemented directly because of King James. Nobody wants to talk about that. But it's okay, we were there. A lot of us who's been solid to basketball for many, many years, we were there to see that change. And we know, no matter, you could keep it quiet as much as you want, but we know exactly why it was done the way in which it was done. You want to kind of disdain the entire league for doing flopping, but really and truly, it wasn't an entire league. It was basically the people that you identified as stars of your league that were blowing this flopping thing all out of control. James Harden, LeBron James. Two of your biggest stars, no? And I have to say, it's probably one of the best rule changes that you guys did, because yes, it was really starting to make your league look very disgusting. If you ask me, my personal opinion, I think it's roughly around that time that your league started to take a little bit of a dip where viewership was concerned. I don't know that to be an actual fact, but realistically speaking, I know that's around the time I start to check out. And you're talking to an individual that found it hard to miss any kind of game, especially key matchup games. You're talking to an individual that as a kid used to run home to make sure he could catch the start of an NBA game. So understand something, NBA. Fans like me, the dedicated fans that have been dedicated for years, not these guys that just came and started to watch your game now. Fans like myself are the ones that you're turning away from your product. Are you okay with that? Because if you are, I can honestly tell you it doesn't seem like a very good business decision. Us old school individuals are the ones that, if the product is good or a fraction of what it used to be, we invest our time into the entire game. The televised games, that is. I understand times change. I understand we're supposed to evolve. But when evolution starts to ruin the fabric and the product of what you are actually doing, maybe you need to take a step back and reevaluate, is all I'm trying to say. And with that being said, people, I want you guys to share. I want you guys to like. And I need you guys to subscribe to this channel and help this channel grow. Doubly Innocence is out. Have yourself a blessed day, people. Deuces.